The Buffetts usually ended the evening sitting with friends around the bonfire beneath the star-dappled western sky. The frolicking continued on Wednesday afternoon with an optional and very mild whitewater paddle down the Salmon River. Here, relationships blossomed, for Allen and company orchestrated who sat where on the bus to the embarkation point as well as on the rafts. The river guides steered through the mountain valley in silence, lest they interrupt conversations. Spotters hired from the local population and ambulances lined the route in case someone tumbled into the freezing water. The guests were handed warm towels as soon as they stepped out of the rafts, then served plates of barbecue. Those not rafting could be found fly fishing, horseback riding, shooting trap and ski, mountain biking, playing bridge, studying nature photography, ice skating on the outdoor rink, or golfing on immaculate greens, where they rode in carts stuffed full of Allen and company sunscreen, snacks, and bug spray. To the power of 6 all the entertainment flowed quietly, seamlessly, whatever was needed appearing unasked, supplied by a seemingly inexhaustible staff of almost invisible yet ever-present Allenites in SV99 polo shirts. It was the babysitters, however, 100 some good-looking, mostly blonde, deeply tanned teenagers in these same polo shirts and matching Allen and company backpacks, who were Herbert Allen's secret weapon. As the parents and grandparents played, the sitters saw to it that each Joshua and Brittany was accompanied by his or her own playmate for whatever activity they chose: a tennis clinic, soccer, bicycling, kickball, a wagon ride, a horse show, ice skating, relay races, rafting, fishing, an art project, or pizza and ice cream. Each babysitter was personally selected to ensure that every child always had such a wonderful time that they would beg to come back year after year, while at the same time delighting their parents with occasional glimpses of the very attractive young person who was allowing them to spend days of guilt-free time with other adults. Buffett had always been one of the most appreciative of Allen's beneficiaries. He loved Sun Valley as a family vacation, for left to his own devices at a mountain resort with his grandchildren, he would have been at a complete loss for what to do. He had no interest in outdoor activities other than golf. He never went skeet shooting or mountain biking, thought of water as a prison of sorts, and would rather go around handcuffed than ride on a raft. Instead, he played a standing golf game with Jack Valenti, president of the Motion Picture Association of America, for a $1 bet, and a bridge game with Meredith Brokaw, and otherwise spent his time socializing with people like Playboy CEO Christy Hefner and computer hardware CEO Michael Dell. Often he disappeared for long periods into his condo overlooking the golf course, where he read and watched business news in the living room seated next to an enormous stone fireplace. To the power of 7 he barely noticed the view of pine-covered Baldy, the mountain outside his window, or the bank of blossoms like a Persian palace rug. "The scenery is there, I guess," he said. He came for the warm atmosphere Herbert Allen had created. To the power of 8 he liked being with his closest friends, Kay Graham and her son Don, Bill and Melinda Gates, Mickey and Don Keogh, Barry Diller and Diane von Furstenberg, Andy Grove and his wife, Eva. But above all, for Buffett, Sun Valley was about reuniting with his family during one of the rare times most of the family spent together. His daughter, Susie Buffett Jr., lived in Omaha, her younger brother, Howie, and his wife, Devin, missing this year, lived in Decatur, Illinois, while their younger sibling, Peter, and his wife, Jennifer, lived in Milwaukee. Buffett's wife of 47 years, Susan, who lived apart from him, had flown in to meet them from her home in San Francisco. And Astrid Nanks, his companion for more than 20 years, remained at their home in Omaha. On Friday night, Warren donned a Hawaiian shirt and escorted his wife to the traditional pool party on the tennis courts. Most of the guests knew and liked Susie. Always the star of the pool party, she sang old-fashioned standards by the light of tiki torches in front of the illuminated Olympic pool. This year, as the cocktails and camaraderie flowed, the babble of a barely comprehensible new language, B2B, B2C, banner ads, bandwidth, broadband, competed with the sounds of Al Oil's band. All week long a vague sense of unease had drifted through the lunches and dinners and cocktails like a silent fog amid the handshakes, kisses, and hugs. A new group of recently minted technology executives, filled with an unusual swagger, introduced themselves to people who had never heard of them a year before. To the power of 9, some displayed a hubris that was at odds with Sun Valley's usual atmosphere, where a determined informality reigned and Herbert Allen enforced a sort of unwritten rule against pomposity, on penalty of banishment. The cloud of arrogance hung heaviest over the presentations that were the conference's centerpiece. Heads of companies, high government officials, and other people of note gave talks unlike those they delivered anywhere else, because hardly a word of what was said was ever whispered beyond the flower boxes hanging by the doors of the Sun Valley Inn. Reporters were banned, and the celebrity journalists and the media barons sat in the audience but honored a code of silence. Thus freed to perform only for their peers, the speakers said important and often true things that could never be articulated in front of the press because they were too blunt, too nuanced, too alarming, too easily satirized, or too likely to be misinterpreted. The workaday journalists lurked outside, hoping for crumbs that were rarely thrown. This year the new moguls of the internet had been strutting, trumpeting their latest mergers and looking to raise cash from the money managers sitting in the audience. The money people, who stewarded other people's pensions and savings, together commanded so much wealth that it could hardly be comprehended. More than $1 trillion. With $1 trillion in 1999, you could pay the income tax of every single individual in the United States. You could give a brand new Bentley automobile to every household in more than 9 states. You could buy every single piece of real estate in Chicago, New York City, and Los Angeles County. Some of the companies making presentations needed that money, and they wanted this audience to give it to them. Early in the week, Tom Brokaw's panel, called The Internet in Our Lives, had drum-majored a procession of presentations about how the internet would reshape the communications business. One after another, executives laid out the glittering prospects for their companies, filling the room with the intoxicating vapor of a future unlimited by storage space and geography, so slick and visionary that while some were convinced that a whole new world was unfolding, others were reminded of snake oil salesmen.